Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to start a little mini series of 3D cards, and I'm making a box card. Now this little card is one of my favourite cards to make. I make them for every single occasion, and I think it's got quite a wow factor when people open an envelope and then find out that they've got sort of a 3D card standing in front of them. This is actually one that I made from Onstage, and it's still got the Velcro dots on the back that we used to put all of our cards on display boards. And I used the Nature's Poem set, and I did the baby wipe technique like I showed you in one of the previous videos to make these little leaves, and I used them almost like flowers to make my box. Now you will find a lot of these kind of boxes on Pinterest and on the internet, but this sizing of boxes is one that I find works for us in the US and Canada. It uses not as much DSP and not as much card as some of the others, because I know when I've tried to make them in the past, when I was first learning them, I had to have a 12 by 12 piece or two of our card pieces, but this uses only one piece of card. Now, what you'll need is a piece of card, and this will make the background of the box. So whatever colour you choose to do your background, that's what colour you're going to need. And you need two 4 by 6 inch pieces. So I'm just going to cut this at 4 all the way down. And I'm going to cut this one at 4 as well. You will have some pieces left over. You need some of them for strengthening the box. I'm going to cut this at 6. And then what you need to do is to score. So I'm going to move that trimmer blade out of the way. And on the horizontal side, you need to score it at 2 inches. And again at 5.5. Then flip it round and you're going to score again at 2 inches. And you do that with both pieces. So you need a 4 by 6. Let's cut that down. Then you're going to need to score it on the horizontal at 2 inches. Let's move that trimmer blade. And at 5.5. Flip it round and score at 2. Now you'll find that by cutting your card this way, you get 2 pieces left, and I use these as card fronts. Now you will need one of them for your little strengthening bars, but sometimes I just use scraps for my strengthening bars, and I do happen to have some scraps here. So you're going to need to cut at 1 inch by 4.5, and then we're going to score each end of this at 1/2 inch. It's 1/2 inch, flip it round, and another 1/2 inch. Okay. Now some people like to have just one bar in the middle, but I like to have 2. So don't know if any of these other pieces are going to be long enough that I've got out. No, they're not. So let's use one of these. So I need to cut it at 1 inch by 4.5. Score each end at 1/2 inch. I will put all of the measurements on my blog for this. I've made so many of them that I don't need the instructions anymore, but I will put them on there for you. Okay, now your 2 pieces that are 4 by 6 with the little 1/2 inch score here, this is the piece we're going to start with. You'll need your snips. Oh, my snips are a bit sticky. I must have tape on them. And get my little glue eraser. just go over. Oh, I see, there it is, look. Let's just get that sticky off. I must have cut something that had fast fuse or a little bit of tape left on them. That's better. Okay, so we're going back to this 1/2 inch piece and we're going to cut down to the score line, and then we're just going to cut a little tab out. And we're also going to cut the other score line that's on 2 inches. Make sure it's on the same piece where you've cut this out of. Don't cut on the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to do exactly the same with the other piece. We're going to cut this out, so we don't need this piece, and cut a little tab out there, and then down here. Now you can leave the edges and the corners straight, but I like to just round my corners. I don't have the new triple punch. I still have my Project Life corner rounder, so that's what I'm going to use. And you only round the corners on the pieces that we've cut down. Don't round any of the others. I'm going to round them on this one as well, just on the pieces that we've cut, as this will form all of the folds, all of the corners and the edges that fold over, like these pieces. Okay, let's get rid of those little scraps of card. Right. Now, what you need to do next is to fold your corners and fold your score lines. And we're going to start with this little flap. So we're just going to fold it underneath and score. And then I do the 2 inch one next, score, and then these pieces are going to fold outwards. So we're going to fold them like this and just burnish them. Okay, and that's going to form the front of our card. Now the back is nearly the same, but not quite. We fold the little tab in and burnish, fold the 2 inch side in and burnish. And when we fold these pieces, we only do the 2 inch one. So fold that one out and leave this one intact, because this is going to be the back and we need as much strength as we can get from the back. Okay, so you now have 2 pieces that look like this, and we're going to start to glue it together. I use Tombow on this just because Tombow gives you a little bit of wriggle room if you haven't quite got it set up right, and also it bonds the fibres of the paper together and they really stay together. Some of the other tapes and glues, over time they seem to get just a little bit less sticky. Okay, I'm just going to hold these. Doesn't matter if any glue escapes or oozes out, as long as you've got your card lined up and it's on the score line. Any of this glue that escapes, we can always get rid of it with our glue eraser. And I like to turn it and just burnish over to make sure it's all glued. Okay, then we're going to do exactly the same with the other flap. We're going to put glue on here. And to make it easier to fold, we're going to fold this piece over the top and then this piece just over. And that way we know it's going to fold flat when we want it to go in the envelope. What I also like to do is just fold it the other way too, so I know that whichever way I fold and close the card, it will fit in my envelope. Okay, so we now have the basis of our little box. We've got the front 3 flaps that fold over and the back flap that stays up. I should put the lid on the Tombow, we don't need that again for a little while. The next thing you're going to need are 2 pieces of white card cut at 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And because they're going to go on the back and here, and we've rounded those corners, you need to round the top 2 corners of these as well. I'm going to just use fast fuse to attach this. So we're going to put one on the back here. And you'll see that I've got a slightly bigger border at the top on here, and that's fine. It's because I like to put a little piece of the DSP just over here, just to tie in the back patterns with the front. Now this piece is going to go on the inside here. So again, I'm going to use my fast fuse. And just a little border all the way around. There we go. Now we need those two pieces that were cut at 1 inch by 4.5 and scored at 1/2 inch on each end. And what we need to do is to fold one score up and one fold down. So it makes like a little Z, an elongated Z. We need the Tombow again. I should put it on the outside edges of those flaps. And to line it up inside, I like to put this first one, I sort of bend it a little bit with my fingers, and I put the first one flush with the top of the left hand side flap and the front of the card. And I hold that for just a second, and then I fold the card. Oh, that wasn't quite enough time. So I fold the card so that I know where this part of the Z has to go. And I know that it will fold flat. Again, when we put it in an envelope, nothing will be sticking out. And then a lot of people just have the one, but I know that I like 2 rows to put things to. So I'm going to do the same again. Fold one up, fold one down, doesn't matter which. Glue on the edges. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up at the right hand side where the edge, I don't know if you can quite see, but where the edge of this little strut piece is, I'm going to line it up there. So I'm going to bend it in the middle a tiny bit just while I get it in. Line it up so that it's just behind the first one. Fold it flat, hold it for a second or two. There. And make sure it goes both ways. Train it so that it's used to folding either way. Okay, so that's the basis of the box. What I'm going to show you now is how to put the DSP on and what size that needs to be. And in the second video, I'll show you how to decorate. So for our DSP, I've chosen this from the Share What You Love suite, and it's a directional piece of paper. It's actually more like card, but it is directional. So I want to make sure that my DSP runs the same all the way around, and I don't want a piece going this way and a piece going this way. So I'm just mindful that I have to have mine going the same. And what I'm going to do is cut a piece that's 1 3/4 inches. And I'm going to cut it the full length of the DSP. Okay, so that when I stick this on at the bottom, it will look like little leaves and things growing upwards. So at 1 3/4, and I'm going to need 6 pieces to start with, and that's going to be for the edges at the corners at the bottom. So the short sides, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and they're going to be 1 3/4 inch squares. So I'm just going to cut those. Don't worry about which ones need to have corner rounding in at the moment. We'll do that as we attach them. So 1 2 3 4 5 6, and a leftover piece for look. Okay, and then I need another 1 3/4 inch piece running the same way. So I'm going to line it up on the 1 3/4 inch line, cut it all the way down, and then I need 3 pieces for the long sides, 1, 2 and 3. So I'm going to cut these at 3 1/4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I'm actually going to cut another couple of little pieces, but this isn't a necessity. It's just I want a different border on a couple of mine. So I'm just going to cut this at 1 3/4 by 3 and 1 3/4 and 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. Ordinarily, I don't do this. I do 6 all the same, or 3 all the same, but actually I want the top of mine to look just a bit different this time. So I always start with the bottom pieces, and none of these need to be corner rounded. They just need to be laid on like this. You can double layer. Sometimes I do, and I did for the one for on stage. And to work out what size this one needs to be, it's just 1/4 inch on each side smaller. Okay. And once you've got the little box made and your pieces cut out, it's actually really fast to assemble. Okay. Let's find 2 little square pieces for the bottom sides. Like this. One at the other side. Just like that. Now, I'm going to do the underneath pieces, and as you'll see, I need to corner round. So I'm going to get my piece and I need to corner around the top. And it's only because I've chosen to corner round that I've got to do this. It's by no means a necessity. Just whatever you like. And the same with the underneath of the sides. I need to corner around the top. And I'm making sure that my pattern is still going the same way as the bottom pieces. And the same for here. And corner around at the top. Okay. Okay. And you remember I said at the back I was going to leave a little bit at the bottom because I like to put just a little bit of matching DSP. I'm going to use this one that I've just been cutting, and let me see, that's 3 1/2 by 3 on there. So, see, am I going to put it all the way across? Yeah, I think I am. But I'm only going to cut it at 1/2 inch. I think that needs to be 3 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/4. I'll just pop that away for a moment. And I'm going to line it up with this bottom here so that it looks like it all matches in. It just gives that little bit extra. Now, because I've used that on the back, you've probably realised I'm going to use these on the front flaps. and I want my pattern to go this way, so this time I'm going to have to corner around the bottom. If you want to use the same DSP all the way around, that's perfectly fine. I mostly do, but I just thought I'm going to put flowers on this card as the decoration, and so I thought it'd be nice to have flowers on here as well. And then in my next video I'll decorate this with you so you can see what we need to do with it. Where does that go? Oh, it does go that way. I wasn't quite sure then which way the flowers were moving. I think I need to go to Specsavers. Yes, now that I look at it, it's so easy to see which way around it goes. Okay, so there's our base box already. I will put measurements and things on my blog, but please tune in for part 2 when I decorate the box. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.